Hello America, today is January 23rd, 2016, and this video is from yesterday with AMMON Bundy going to visit the sheriff to find out if he gave permission for the FBI to be at the compound. I'd like for you to take a look around at this town. There is a makeshift fence there that you can see, and the police state is utterly ridiculous. There's roads blocked off, and you see armed people with long guns everywhere, in camo. And if I lived in this town, I would be frightened to death. What this judge and the political people in this town are doing, including the sheriff, is outrageous. They are scaring the daylights out of these people that live there. And it's a shame that most of them are too far in the dark to realize what is going on. Anyway, I'll let you have a listen to this.
How do we talk to the sheriff? How do we talk to the sheriff?
Roger that.
How you doing?
Look at this, our taxpayers' dollars hard at work. 70 grand a day to scare the people of Harney County in Burns, Oregon. Really? I hope this, what the governor is proud of herself. I hope she's accomplishing what she set out to accomplish, to scare the crap out of the people. See, people, this is how the political class control us. Open your eyes, look around and see. This refuge is 40 miles outside of this town. Anyway, let's continue.
Ammon, how you doing?
Good, how you doing?
Good.
Sheriff here?
He is not available right now. That's why I'm here. It's Sheriff Wolf from Malheur County, Sheriff Humphreys, Wheeler County. Nice to meet you.
Well, we come to, we were down at the FBI. They reached out to us yesterday and met with them. And then
Okay, that's really a good thing.
But I've asked them now 4 times if the sheriff's department, if Sheriff Ward has given them authority to be there, written authority, and they have refused to give me that.
To be out at the airport?
Well, to be enforcing law here in the county.
They are taking care of the refuge situation. It's federal property, and that's what they're
No,
good
it ain't
for.
belongs to us.
Not federal property.
Okay, I'm not going to sit here and argue with you.
Constitution's pretty
Well,
clear.
Okay.
But that is what the argument is, because and even if it is federal property, which it is not, let's say I was standing on the grounds of the post office, which would be federal property,
Correct.
to enforce law on that property there, to come to the county sheriff, and the county sheriff is to enforce that law, and that way the people are protected.
Okay.
So has the FBI been given permission from the sheriff's department to enforce law in the county?
At the refuge, yes.
So they have given them, and are they following under the authority? Are they taking their marching orders from the sheriff?
It's in conjunction. We're in meetings daily.
Can we see that in writing?
No.
So the people deserve to see if their sheriff gave up their policing power to.
Sheriff's office has
FBI.
not given up any policing power.
Okay, then what's
Okay.
going on out to the what's going on out to the airport then?
It's just a space to put people.
So Sheriff Ward approved them to be there.
The sheriff had nothing to do with that. As far that's a BLM building where they're staged at.
So they've come into the county, and they
Correct.
set up a standing army.
It's not a standing
That's
army, but
exactly
it is.
what it is.
That's
They
exactly
set up
what
a
it is.
Standing army, without the sheriff's permission. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that at all.
So they have. It's either yes or no. Do they have permission from the sheriff?
The
to be
FBI
there?
is here working in conjunction with the sheriff's office.
So Sheriff Ward has given them permission to be here.
Yes.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you. I guess they're in direct violation of the Constitution, the sheriff is, If he has given them permission to be there, then they're in a direct violation of the Constitution. The sheriff is, yeah, absolutely. And that's what we needed to know.
Okay, so you heard that. Bundy went out, got the information he needed. The place is on total lockdown. If that was in my town, I would be pissed. I guess when you're on the outside looking in, it's easier to see how the people of this county are being manipulated. If I were living in this county, however, I don't know how easy it would be for me to see that, because all I'm seeing is my town on lockdown with people dressed in fatigues and having long guns. So anyway, we're going to move on to the next clip with Brandon Curtis, head of the 3 Percenters, and we'll have a listen to what he has to say.
But Brandon Curtis from Idaho 3 Percenters and one of the founding members of Pacific Patriot Network. Good morning. How are you?
Right. Now, everyone that comes in to work on the Pacific Patriot Network under our operation here is vetted. They have to go through that process. We want to know who's here, we want to know who we're working with, and that's simple. And if we've got a couple of people that come that want to do that, they're just sent home. What we are noticing, though, is more of an aggressive approach by law enforcement and the FBI. One of our members actually experienced, we'll be releasing a video on that later tonight, experienced some harassment from the state police here, being pulled over for something that was totally erroneous, and then because we were parked across the parking lot, he then approached and accosted us and used an excuse. It's just typical harassment. I did confront him on that and put him back in his place. But we're seeing that.
You know, what we're seeing through that video, and I'm going to cross-post that when you guys get it posted up on the internet,
Yes.
is the gross constitutional violations.
Oh,
we have
absolutely.
freedoms to come and go.
Absolutely.
This guy actually spoke out as a member of, I'm going to call it, the police state that is generally suspicious. You're guilty until proven innocent in the eyes of that officer that was observing somebody who he considered to be potentially a danger to society, without having any probable cause whatsoever.
No, and understand my background as law enforcement for 11 years. You know, I understand, it's officer safety concerns and things like that. We were parked almost 100 yards away across a parking lot, just observing. And they noticed that. And so they called in an additional unit, with 2 more guys who sat there and just kind of stared us down during the traffic stop to make sure, we were whatever. And that's fine. That's okay. They want to make sure everyone's safe and officer safety. But as soon as the traffic stop was done, the state trooper got back in his truck with his partner, and they came over and got out of the vehicle and wanted to make small talk. And so I asked him about why he was, pulling one of our members over. And actually, our member wasn't even here for anything other. He was traveling from Boise to Bend for work. He just happened to be passing by. Anyway, we'll release that video, talk about it more later, and how that went down. But they did approach us, and first he jumped out of the vehicle and said, "Hey, I like your Power Wagon. I love your Dodge Power Wagon," and wanted to talk about that. And so I asked him about the harassment that he's doing to our members, and then he immediately spun around to saying, "Well, I thought you might have been broke down over here, so I wanted to make sure you didn't need any help." Now, everyone needs to understand, I have a 2015 Dodge truck. It's sitting there running so we can stay warm, but he thought we might need help as we're broke down. So you see what they're doing. They revert back to that, well, I thought you needed help. Because that's a blanket statement.
Right.
So, we'll talk about that more later when we release that video. We can talk about that and narrate it. So we're seeing more posturing from law enforcement. We're seeing 2 vehicle stops on one person in the vehicle. They're being pulled over for anything they can find, even making things
Is it
up.
intended just through their posturing that it's intended to intimidate?
Absolutely.
Right. I mean, it's a direct.
Absolutely.
Even with their kinder, gentler approach.
There's a kind of gentler approach from what I saw yesterday.
There's not, because of their unconstitutional conduct.
Well, they're pulling somebody over, and it's a single person, one occupant in the vehicle, and they bring 2 units with 4 officers.
Yeah, that is strictly to intimidate.
Absolutely.
And to overwhelm.
It's an intimidation factor.
Right.
And they can do that all day long because they're not going to intimidate us. We're not going anywhere. We're
Right.
not doing anything wrong. We're not doing
Right.
anything illegal.
Right.
Okay. The preface that they actually drove through a hotel parking lot and saw his truck there, and as they drove through, they pointed at it as they drove through, and they went across the street and waited for him to pull out, and then followed him and pulled him over.
Yeah.
And we followed them.
And you caught him.
And we caught him.
Right.
And we called them out on it, and they didn't like that response.
And
so-
his responses were in violation of everything that we believe in constitutionally.
Absolutely.
Right.
So he even went as so far as to say, well, his tire hit the white line. And I said, okay. I said, but why did you drive through our hotel parking lot and point at his vehicle when you drove through with your partner, and then you waited for him? And his response, I'm not kidding you, it'll be on the video. Well, you guys are from out of state and you're staying in a hotel, you might be intoxicated. So now they're profiling out of staters because we might be intoxicated or staying in a hotel. I mean, that's the most crazy thing I've ever heard. So now we can't even come to a town like Burns, Oregon to stay in a hotel because now we're going to be assumed that we're intoxicated or we're alcoholics, and we're going to be profiled and pulled over based on that. And that is on video, guys. On video.
Wow.
And we will be filing an ethics complaint and demanding that he be suspended and investigated for violating someone's constitutional rights. We will demand that.
Oh, okay, good.
Absolutely.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
You're hearing that now. That's awesome. Can't
Yep.
wait to see that, and we'll cross.
We will
post
stand
it.
with constitutional officers and we will support them and we will defend
Right.
constitutional
Right.
officers. But what we will do, we will hold officers that are violating the Constitution personally accountable for their actions, just like what happened yesterday.
I mentioned to AMMON Bundy, I want you to, of course, continue to give us updates, but I want you to comment on this. I asked AMMON, because of our interaction with the FBI, and their lack of knowledge of the U.S. Constitution. There were some that admitted on the ground, state troopers, sheriffs, as well as FBI agents who admitted that they hadn't read the Constitution. They're not aware of Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17.
Right.
I said, as part of the negotiation, shouldn't you make it mandatory that at least all of these agents that have sworn an oath at least carry a copy of it? Whether or not they read it, they should at least have access to it and should be encouraged to read it from front to back. What do you think of that?
It's very commonplace. When I was in law enforcement, we saw that a lot. And there's a lot of, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of good constitutional officers.
Well,
But
including
here-
me, I didn't read the Constitution until later on in life. I swore an oath to it when I was a Marine. So I admittedly
But
did not
that's
read
my
it from
point.
front
So,
to back.
But you recognize that. So we have a whole staging area full of FBI agents ready to go up and do whatever it is they're going to do.
And
to take
shoot
action,
people. Yeah.
And possibly shoot people and engage with people upon an oath they swore to uphold the Constitution. They took an oath. And that's a contract, by the way, in my opinion. And
That's a dangerous.
that's very dangerous.
That's the very dangerous thing, especially when they don't, they need to have a full understanding of what the passions are of the patriot community as far as constitutional enforcement, right?
Yep.
That is their perceived adversary, that they're being told by their command that these people are a bunch of radicals that actually read the Constitution from front to back.
Right.
And want to enforce
Because
it.
we
That's
read
not a
the
bad thing.
Constitution and we want to stand upon the values of what this country was built. We're the bad guys, we're the terrorists, we're the crazies, we're the lunatics, and it's just unbelievable. I mean, we have gotten so much email and contacts and messages and texts and calls and PMs on Facebook supporting what we do. And we gotten a few that are hate mail, and I just look at those and my heart grows heavy because they really are being led by whatever it is they believe in is false. You know, being called a lunatic or a right-wing extremist or a gun-toting redneck. I've been called all these things, all because I stand for the Constitution of the United States. And you know me, I'm not any of those things.
No,
you know?
certainly
I'm a
not.
human being with feelings, emotions, I have children. You know,
Right.
I put my pants on one leg at a time.
Love your country?
Love my country. I would die for my country. It goes nowhere. It falls on deaf ears, so it's a waste of time.
So you agree that part of the negotiation out of this, because I believe that we're now calling it a constitutional opportunity, as Chris Ann Hall said. This is an opportunity to really highlight that there's a disconnect between the members of the patriot community that want to be lawful, constitutional, and respective of constitutional sheriffs and peace officers as well.
Right.
But that training process should be mandatory.